Yeah, massive day of football. Some would say it's focused around the bottom of the table. Forest, Leicester, Wolves, and we're talking about those. But Tottenham, 1 point off the top, joint with Manchester City. Another clean sheet, another ruthless victory for Spurs. How interesting, how much of a threat are Spurs to the top two this season? Get your calls in, 03717 22 3344. Massive shout out for Coalville Town as well, knocking Notts County out. But lots to get into. You might want to talk about Brendan Rodgers and Steve Cooper, both under pressure at Leicester, with Leicester drawing against Crystal Palace in the lunchtime game. I mean, you've got to win those games. Look, and also Forest losing to Wolves again. I don't take pleasure in any manager being sacked. I don't think anybody does, but I look at that pragmatically. I look at that as a football fan, and we've all been down this road before with football clubs and football managers. And I feel that with Rodgers and with Cooper, I personally think it's time for them to go. I do. And I have a lot of sympathy with Cooper at Forest, because we saw Fulham do this a couple of years ago. You can't buy a whole new team and then be shocked when you can't win a game. What about those professionals that Forest had last year who got them promoted? And then they're on the bench for a load of new players that don't know the club, didn't get them here. It's a recipe for disaster. And I think Steve Cooper, unfortunately, is facing an impossible task with Brendan Rodgers. It's a bit difficult. It's a bit different. He's done a good job there, but they need a change. You've got to be winning those games at home. They've got to be beating Bournemouth last week. He's followed up that pivotal win against Forest a couple of games ago with 1 point from 6. It's not good enough, is it, really? And on to Wolves, big win for them. NUNO coming back to Wolves. What's that all about? Well, I tell you, it would be consistent. I mean, I just think Wolves are so boring. I don't know what Wolves fans think. Some fantastic players. You've won today with a penalty. I think that win is so big for Wolves, and another win would take them mid-table. That's how tight it is at the bottom at the moment. But Wolves, you're so boring to watch. Bringing NUNO back, it was also very boring. Is that what Wolves want to do? Do they need... I look at Wolves and I think, do you need to change the way you're playing football? Be a bit more dynamic, because it's the same approach all the time and nothing changes at Wolves. They've got so many good players. It's always quite a tight game, but it's always quite a boring game. And then Fulham against Bournemouth, 2-2. Another good point for Bournemouth that. I know they were winning 2-1, but Fulham and Bournemouth have been really the two breakout teams in the Premier League's bottom half this season. Both expected to go straight down. I think Forest, with the money they spent, were expected to stay up. The continuity at Bournemouth and Fulham with the playing squad is a big tick in the box for any team looking to come up from the Championship next year. It's not about how much you spend. It's about how much you reward the players that got you there and the chemistry and camaraderie that they've got. And, you know, we've spoken about O'Neill as the manager at Bournemouth. I mean, what more does he have to do to get the job? Interesting. And then we've got tomorrow, huge game tomorrow, Liverpool against Manchester City. Jurgen Klopp's comments about Manchester City, that Liverpool can't compete with their spending. What are your thoughts about this? I know it's been going on for the last 24 hours. Is he right? And is it anti-competitive that PSG, City and Newcastle can effectively spend what they want? I said it on Twitter earlier. I want to get your calls on this. I really do. I think that Jurgen Klopp is absolutely spot on. I think that there is a ceiling for clubs, for Manchester United, Liverpool, Arsenal. There is only so far you can go when you are competing against owners who are some of the richest people on the planet. And it's anti-competitive. I agree. It's completely bitter and jealous. I would acknowledge that as well. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to pretend that, it's unfair. And, you know, but the reality is, it is unfair. It is right, unless you are Newcastle and Man City, in which case you are the dominant force. I remember Man United, you know, sort of bordering on this in the early noughties when we were winning everything and we had a lot of money and there was talk of Murdoch and Sky buying us. We would have dominated forever. But, you know, it was nice. It was a nice thought. Is that what Man City and Newcastle are doing now? Get your calls in. I'm sure there'll be some very interesting ones about that. And as I said, some very big games tomorrow. Villa play Chelsea. Leeds play Arsenal. Can they win away from home again at Ellen Road and stay top of the league? Man United entertain Newcastle. And the big one, Southampton versus West Ham.